Hi guys, it's Kelly from Cards by Christine here with you on a Technique Thursday to share with you the Waterfall Fun Fold. This card is the Mac Daddy, and I just spent a bunch of time going through and making sure the measurements were correct and hopefully displaying them in a way that helps. So this is upcoming in our catalog launch party class. So this card and a bunch of other beautiful cards, I'm sorry I didn't bring them around for you to see. So you'll have to check out the cover photos out, and the details are out there. So you'll be able to check them out on the website or Facebook. So I'm just going to show off this card for you and walk you through how to measure and make this card. Now, full disclosure. If you participate in the class, all the measuring, the cutting, the scoring, it's all done for you. So this right here may just convince you that you want to do the class because I can show you the measurements. You'll be able to write them down and know what you need, but not having to think through or work through that is worth its weight in gold. Now, we're going to show off our inspiration. This card was from the talented Sherry Holly, and this card as well was from our stamping friend Gwen Petrashek. So beautiful cards, great inspiration, and here is our cased adaptation. If you participate in the class, you will get one or the other of these color schemes. There's no guarantee on which one you get. Chris herself won't even know which one you get. But let's start at the basics. So, I'm bringing in our little pile. So, here is your card base. It is 9.5 by 4.5. So it's a horizontal card. So the height of this piece is 4.5. The length of the piece is 9.5. Then you're going to score twice. You're going to score it at 5.5, which you can barely see here. Oh, there it is. And 7.5. So your card base, 4.25 by 9.5, scored by 5.5 and 7.5. This piece is just going to get folded forward and backwards. So that's how we create our card base. The next piece is very simple. And it's just the background mat of DSP. So I'm just going to leave that there. Your background mat of DSP is 4 by 5.25. It is absolutely just a normal mat. So that would get adhered here. All right? So far, so good. Now, we've got 3 piles of 3 different pieces. So I'm going to lay them out. Okay, so your first layer, the black layer, is 5 by 3 3/8. It's scored at 1.5, 3, and 4.25. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that. There they are. So 5 long, 3 3/8 high, scored at 1.5, 3, and 4.5. So we're going to go ahead and score this box. Okay, so then we're going to bring in our bone folder. Okay, so then what you're gonna do, and I'm just gonna glue these pieces. No, I want them to be loose yet. So I'm sorry if this is. Okay, let's just tack them down. Let's use washi tape. I want to be able to take this apart to use it as a template. So my apologies on this, but we're gonna tack this down. Obviously, if you want a functional card, this is not how you're going to adhere yours together. You can use whatever adhesive is your adhesive of choice. I am a liquid glue aficionado. However, I know a lot of people that enjoy using tape roller, and that would work as well. Okay, so once you've got your mat adhered, you're gonna take this box that we just created, and you're gonna run your adhesive along this piece and this piece. So on your first panel and your fourth panel, okay? And then you're going to adhere. This large panel is going to get glued to the second panel of your card base. And then this piece is going to get, so at this point you want to hold your card up at a 90-degree open angle. And then you're going to adhere this piece onto your piece of DSP where it lands so that it's flush. Okay? So now your pieces, let's see here. I could use something. I'm getting creative. I'm just going to use a few small dots of this. Okay, so we're going to center it and hold that in place, and then hold it at 90 for that piece. Now, obviously, you're making the skeleton for your card. Now, your next pieces will be based on... Did I do this correct? I wonder if I missed. I think I missed a layer. So we've got a mat for here. That mat is 4 1/16 by 1 13/16. So because there's so many nested pieces, we're using 16ths. I know it's not everyone's favorite, and if you struggle with 16ths, you can round up or down. Just make sure you're doing so consistently. But class participants, yours will all be measured and cut for you. So this layer goes here and here. I'm actually just going to take a little bit of washi tape just to emulate what we got going on here. You'll see how nicely that nests with those 16ths. Okay, so now I did miss a layer. It is so funny because this is going to be for that layer. The recipe card is a lot. So I was struggling to follow it, and it wasn't until I just sat down here that I was like, I'm missing a piece. So let's here's some white. Where's my purple? Where did I put that? I put it down here, didn't I? Huh, there it is. Is this guy gonna be big enough? Perfect. Okay, so I am going to measure and label with you so that you know what you need. Okay, so for our freesia layer, 2, 4, 5, 1 5/16. Where did I put my marker? Okay, and the height on that, 3 3/16. And then we're going to have probably 3 1/16. That's going to be my guess. Or is it 3? That looks like it's 3. Okay, so I'm going to quick cut those pieces for you. All right, so the DSP is the white layer. So that's gonna be 3, by 1 3/16. And then the colored coordinating cardstock layer is 3 3/16. By 1 5/16. These intricate little measurements. Whee! Okay, and then I'm going to label them accordingly to help everyone involved. Okay, so we've got 3 3/16 by 1 5/16, and we have 3 by 1 3/16. Okay, so we're going to layer these and adhere it on the next level. Which, if all measured correctly, which it appears as though I did, that will work out for you. Okay, so next, did I leave? I did. Great. I'm glad to see that. I'm trying to collect myself so that I can take this apart and show you what you need as soon as we're done. So the next step in our waterfall is 4 inches by 2 5/8. That is going to be scored at 1, 2.5, and 3.5. And I will say, this was a piece of scrap, so you're going to see a score on the height-wise. That is not necessary. So we've got 4 inches by 2 5/8. We're going to score at 1, 2.5, and 3.5. So let's go ahead and utilize those score marks and get some nice crisp folds. Just so that this thing isn't falling apart on us, I'm going to, again, use a little bit of glue. So, again, we're going to use the big flap to adhere to the existing waterfall and the little flap to adhere to the DSP mat. So we're going to do that right away. Okay. So center top to bottom on our existing waterfall. Hold that tight until it dries and then flip it under, and while at your 90-degree angle, secure it down. Then we are going to take our coordinating cardstock and our DSP, 2 7/16 by 1 3/8 for our coordinating cardstock, and 2 1/4 by 1 13/16 for our DSP. Mat them up and adhere them down. Got something crazy going on over there. Okay, so we're gonna go like that, and then we're gonna go like that. And this is where I feel like my measurement is off just a hair. So we'll come back to that one, maybe. What do I have for the height on this bad boy? Oh, that's because I have my, so ignore the little bit of extra mat here. I measured and cut this black piece a little too high. I'm off by 1/8 of an inch here, and that's why we've got a little bit of the extra matte look. Oops! Okay, last but certainly not least, we have 1 5/8 by 3. We're gonna score that at 1/2, 2, and 2.5. Okay, so this little guy is 3 inches long by 1 5/8 tall, and you're gonna catch those score marks at 1/2, 2 and 2.5. So let's go ahead and fold them over, burnish them down. And then this one, we're going to, so both of the flaps are a 1/2 inch on this one. We are going to glue the first 1/2 inch to the existing waterfall, and then the bend and the last flap is going down, if that made any sense. Okay, so we're gonna center that. Now, this sample card that I'm making takes into consideration just the layers and the mats. It does not take into consideration any of the embellishing features. So like this has a tag, some die cuts, some DSP, or not DSP, a focal image and stuff like that. None of that is going to be seen here. Okay, so now we have a matted layer here of 1 3/8 by 1 7/16, and a DSP of 1 3/16 by 1 5/8. So we're just going to nest those and adhere them down. Ah! And then we are going to mat that on here. All right, so here is your successful waterfall card. Now, you can just lay it down. Oh, and this is gonna be very tough because all of these layers are not perfectly glued down. Nothing is perfectly adhered. So I'm gonna give that disclaimer, and I'm probably going to just pick this up. That is going to help put it where it belongs, especially on such a janky card. But that is the sizing and the measurements and the rough to do on how to set this thing in place. It can be intimidating. It is a very beautiful card. Once you know the measurements, once you've done it, it is absolutely achievable. You saw me mess up on that last layer. You definitely want to make sure when you're putting it together that you're putting it together incrementally and not rushing, not, just gluing just to glue. And then you will have a better, so here I'm gonna switch to this. You're gonna have a better fold. So here's what it looks like as it steps. I think I would, in doing it the next time, I should have thought of this sooner, in between each layer, in between each waterfall, I'd fold it down and make sure it's set well before I move on to the next one, especially where I was using just such a crazy layout. So I'm going to deconstruct now so that you can see the sizes of all of the layers. So here are the notes for all of the black layers. So if you want to jot it down as I'm deconstructing, and that's why I wanted, I know it probably made it a little less easy to view by not just going ahead and sticking them all down, but I really wanted to be able to take this apart for you and show you all of the pieces together. Maybe you could take a screenshot or whatever, just to help you. So here are the 4 pieces of black that you need. Maybe I could get that up closer to you. Okay, so here are your primary cardstock color. So like in this color, it's basic black, but the sizes and the scores for you on that Okay, now I'm going to deconstruct all the levels. Here. All right, then we have the layers. The cascading layers of coordinating cardstock and DSP. Those ones were a little tiny, so they were hard to write. Ooh, I think it worked. Tried not to use a ton of glue so that I could take this apart. Okay, so we've got a DSP mat. Now this DSP mat is the back. It is a standard mat. So we've got 4 by 5 1/4. So that's that. Then we have 2 different layers. So we've got a coordinating cardstock color. I'm gonna bring that up on the white. And then you can screenshot it if you would like. Oh my goodness, they're so tiny. Okay, so we've got 4 1/16 by 1 3/16. We've got 3 3/16 by 1 5/16. We've got 2 7/16 by 1 3/4. 3/8, and we have 1 3/8 by 1 7/16. Then we have our DSP layers of 3 7/8 by 1 5/8, 3 by 1 3/16, and 2 1/4 by 1 13/16, and then we have 1 3/16 by 1 5/16. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that it made sense. I'm so sorry if it didn't. Tried really hard to break it down and make it as easy to digest as possible. You can always participate in the catalog launch party class to be able to make this card, but you also will then have an opportunity to see Chris live and in action putting the card together. That will be another great opportunity to run through the card again, and by that point you will be a pro and you will definitely make the best waterfall card ever. So thank you to Sherry Holly and to Gwen Petracek for creating the beautiful cards that we used as our sample, and you can participate in the catalog launch party early in 2023. It's in January. Check out the events page on Cards by Christine for